What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Cali Kid Official Podcast. This is episode number 21, so let's get right into it. So, this past week we had UFC 250. We had a couple of different fights. First off, I'm gonna start with the Sean O'Malley versus Eddie Wineland fight. It was one of the undercard fights. Sean pretty much won with a walk off KO, which is pretty cool. He KO'd the dude in round one. Then we had Aljamain Sterling versus Corey Sandhagen. This was a pretty cool bout as well. The fight started off with Aljamain being very aggressive, and then eventually the fight transitioned to the floor where he won by a rear naked choke. Well, so that was pretty cool. And then we got Cody Garbrandt versus Rafael Assunção, and this was for me. I said that this was an important fight for Cody because he was coming off of losses to T.J. Dillashaw, and so he came back sporting a new look, and he took care of business. And the way he finished the bout, he had grabbed hold of the cage, and then Rafael swung, and then Cody ducked and then hit him and then knocked dude out. So that was pretty cool. So I think he won the fight of the KO of the night bonus or whatever that they do on UFC. So this was pretty cool for him, to rebound after everything. So it looks as though he's more focused, and hopefully this continues for him in the future. So that was one of the highlights. And then we get the main event, Amanda Nunes versus Felicia Spencer. And it was pretty much Amanda dominating the entire bout. She will have to start fighting the dudes at this point because this fight was so lopsided. I mean, she was ragdolling this chick, and then the chick ended up with a hematoma where you get hit so hard that your forehead swells up like Joanna did. She got beat up so bad, she started to look like that. So it was pretty much a domination and unanimous decision award to Amanda Nunes. So that was that for that fight card. Moving on from that, we might possibly get a Mayweather versus McGregor too. So Conor announced his retirement once again. This has to do in part to the UFC not wanting to pay its talent what they're worth, and you have several superstars, retiring or decide not to fight because of it. So Floyd seen what was being said, and he responded. So he says, hold up. If I'm not mistaken, didn't you tell Mike Tyson you could beat me if we fought a second time? Now you're quitting? I thought you wanted to beat the best. Well, if you decide to come back, I will be waiting to punish you again. So that right there might be incentive for, Conor to dust off his boxing skills, which we've seen. Well, I've seen video of Conor, working out on this punching machine. So I'm pretty sure he would take that because that fight with Floyd made him the most money he's ever made in his career, pretty much. And it's not as though he need money because his company, Proper Whiskey, is doing well as well. I think it's said that they posted $1 billion worth of sales. So he's loaded with the dough. But it would be interesting to see a second fight. Some people said the first fight was whatever, but Floyd took it easy on him in the first fight because some people don't like Floyd's defensive style, so that's why he pretty much walked him down the entirety of the first fight. But if they do a second fight, I'm pretty sure Floyd is just gonna annihilate him, just to prove a point. But that would be pretty interesting, to see that again. But speaking of the UFC has a problem which I touched upon the last week's podcast. Pretty much a lot of their high profile talent has either retired or refused to fight because they're being underpaid. And this is going to be a growing problem. You've had John Jones, Henry Cejudo, Jorge Masvidal, Conor, all of them retiring because of disputes with money. And For Jones, he wants more money for the Ngannou fight because it's a super fight. But Dana White and the UFC brass basically said that these guys are in new contracts and that they're trying to get new contracts for these other fights. But that's understandable. But if the fight isn't within your division and it's for like a super fight, that means that the fight is going to generate more money than it normally would if it was like a regular bout. So that's why the fighters want more money, which is understandable. You going up from light heavyweight to heavyweight, and you want to pay the dude the same amount that he would make at light heavyweight, which, you can't blame the dudes. You can't blame them. It was bad enough that UFC basically stripped fighters of potential money when they made it to where they couldn't wear their sponsors on their clothes or whatever, like they used to be able to do in the early days of UFC. They pretty much eliminated that with the Reebok deal, and this is a repercussion of that. The UFC is greedy. Period. These guys are going out there risking their lives and their health, and they're not being fairly compensated, and they're using what's going on as an excuse not to pay people. I understand that there's no fans in attendance and whatnot, but an easy way to fix this would have been for you guys not to ban these fighters' sponsorships, because that's how they were making a lot of their money. You force them into a Reebok deal, then you guys do a deal with ESPN, so that cuts the money down even more. So it's like, what did you guys expect to happen from this? But we finally got some information on UFC Fight Island. So it's going to be taking place July 11th through the 25th on Yas Island in Abu Dhabi. One of the matches is going to be Alexander Volkanovski versus Max Holloway, which will be a rematch of their December 19th bout where Volkanovski won unanimously. We're going to have Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns for the welterweight title on July 11th. This is going to headline UFC 251. We're going to have Peter Yan versus Jose Aldo and Jessica Andrade versus Rose Namajunas, who Rose, I believe, beat her when they fought before. And then other bouts that's possibly being floated around is Fabricio Werdum versus Alexander Gustafsson, Antonio Nogueira versus Shogun Role, and Robert Whittaker versus Darren Till. So here's a video of Dana going into more detail about it.
So Fight Island is ready. So we're going, 4th of July is coming up, and every 4th of July I go to my place up in Maine. So I'm going to go spend some time there. Then I'm flying straight to Fight Island, which is Yas Island in Abu Dhabi.
Right.
And we will be there July 11th. I will be there July 11th, July 15th, July 18th, and July 25th. So I'll be there from, the first week of July till Saturday night, July 25th. I'll fly home after the fight. And the first fight that we're looking at for Fight Island, July 11th, is Volkanovski versus Holloway.
Wow.
So he got it on his board.
Peter Yan versus Jose Aldo.
Wow.
Jose always find himself
Jessica Andrade
in
versus
title
Rose
fights.
Namajunas in the rematch. We're also talking, we don't have a lot of the other stuff done, but we're working on it right now. But also on Fight Island, we're talking about doing Verdum versus Gustafsson, Little Nog versus Shogun Rua, and Whittaker
Little
versus
Nog.
Till.
Amazing. Dude, that's great. So I got questions for you.
Plus a lot more.
I got questions for you. Where do I start? Number one, I know you told us already that the fighters you will have fights. You have an octagon on the sand. So are these fights, is your card going to take place in the arena that's there or on the octagon on the sand?
So there's an arena there that we've been getting ready for this thing, and it's going to be like, it's basically just like the Apex.
The Apex Center in
It's like
Florida.
Apex, and I've given you a picture of the arena and the setup and what it's going to look like.
Awesome.
It kind of looks like
And I
an
have a picture
airplane
of the
hangar.
octagon in the sand too, which will be there. all of these guys, the infrastructure that was built, the guys are going to have their own little training quarters and their own little places to train for, COVID-19 stuff.
Right.
Lots of testing, lots of quarantining, and lots of fighting. We have also, I don't know how much I want to talk about this because I don't know how much this is, I got to figure this thing out, but we've secured our own airlines too, where we're going to be flying guys in from all over the place on our own airline.
Yeah, I was talking about that. Like, how are they going to get to this island? Was it going to be by airplane or by ferry? So, yeah, they're going to be flying them in. But, yeah, some of these fights, though, I'm pretty sure there's other fights they want to make, but because of there not being fans, they want there to be fans for these big events. So, I'm pretty sure that's another reason as to why the Jones and Ngannou fight isn't really happening in conjunction with the money, as well as like Conor versus, Silva, which was talked about as well. So, but at least he spoke up on that. And then also in the news, we got some sad news. Former wide receiver Reche Caldwell was ambushed outside his home in Florida. Apparently he was going on a date with his girlfriend, and then at some point he went back into the house to get his jacket, and then as he was doing that, some guys popped out of the bushes and pretty much tried to rob him, and he ended up getting shot a couple of times, once in the leg and the chest, and he pretty much died on the way to the hospital. And it's like, it's so unfortunate that people do things and people don't value other people's well-being. It's like me. It's like, it's so sad. Like, that's so unnecessary. Like, you didn't have to do that. You did not have to do that. So that was kind of crazy. But yeah, he played for the Patriots, the Chargers, and he retired with the Washington Redskins. So, but the thing I'm tripping off of is they were waiting in the bushes. So, were they in the bushes prior to him leaving the house, or did they walk up and hide in the bushes, and then when he went back, they ambushed him? It kind of seems like a setup to me. I'm not saying that the girlfriend is involved, but that's kind of weird. So he had to have been being watched. That's crazy, though. My condolences to his family and those that knew him. That's crazy. That's crazy. Like, wow. But moving on from that, we also get confirmation that Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua will be fighting sometime next year. They've pretty much agreed to a 2-bout fight, and this is basically going to be for all the belts. But Fury and Wilder have to fight towards the end of this year, and then I guess whatever happens with that, will set up for this Joshua fight. But if Wilder happens to win against Fury, which is a possibility he could, then I think hopefully Joshua and his camp don't continue to duck, because that's what happened last time. Like, Joshua had all the belts, or pretty much most of the belts, and his camp kept putting obstacles in the way of the fight happening. They wanted to keep lowballing Wilder, even though they're saying that the offer they gave him was more than what he was making. There's still the thing of, this isn't a normal fight. It's similar to how, like, with the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight, that fight didn't happen because of one side wanted more money than they were worth. Another side didn't want to submit to the random bloody hearing, and then when they finally did want to do that, they wanted to be notified, which is kind of suspicious. But we just gonna have to see with this one. So Fury talks about it. So let's see what he got to say.
Hello there. I'm just after getting off the phone with Daniel Kinahan. He's just informed me that the biggest fight in British boxing history has just been agreed. Get up there, my boy! Big shout out Dan, he got this done, literally over the line, 2-fight deal, Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua next year. One problem, I just got to smash Deontay Wilder's face right in the next fight, and then we go into the Joshua fight next year. So there we are. The Gypsy King versus AJ is on for next year, but there's a hurdle in the road called the Bronze Bomber, aka the Knockout King, and I will get onto him and knock him spark out, and then we're on to the big fight. So big thank you, Dan, for getting this deal over the line. All the best. God bless you all. See you soon. Peace out.
Yeah, that second fight though with Wilder and Fury, there was a lot of shenanigans going on. He was using illegal maneuvers in that fight, which I didn't like, but you know it's boxing and you gotta do what you gotta do. But hopefully this third fight is different in terms of it there not being any lingering things affecting the fight. So, but can't wait for that. I wonder what's gonna happen, because if it's slated for the end of the year. You know, the virus is still going around, so I'm pretty sure there's not going to be any fans. So it's like, it sucks though, because this ruins so much. It ruins so much. But, you know, at least, you know, events and things of that nature are being put on or whatever, in spite of, you know, what's going on. So, you know, that's always good thing. But moving on from that, apparently the actor that plays Elastic Man on The Flash is in some hot water for some tweets he posted prior to, I guess, coming onto the show. So he's pretty much been canned from the next season of The Flash. So you know how that goes when people get caught doing that. They put out the apology, I'm sorry I did what I did in the past or whatever. But we're gonna take a look at some of the things that he was saying. Okay, so here is some of the things he said. So from 2012 to 2014, he says the only thing keeping me from doing mildly racist tweets is the knowledge that Al Sharpton would never stop complaining about me. In another tweet he wrote, as a lad, one of my favorite activities was kidnapping homeless women and cutting off their breasts. Like, why would you even say something like that? That's just weird. That's just weird. And you know, he put out the apology. I'm not here to make excuses, regardless of intention. My words matter and they carry profound consequences, blah blah blah. It's like, why would you even say stuff like that? That shit is crazy. And then to put it on the internet, you know, everything lives on the internet, whether you delete it or not. You know, someone somewhere then screenshot it, you know, waiting to ambush you at the point of, you know, your career ever rising. So that's that. And then also we get an update from New York from the governor. Governor Andrew Cuomo has pretty much laid out his police reform agenda. The first thing in his agenda, he's put through the Eric Garner Anti-Chokehold Act, which basically any officer who kills or injures someone using a chokehold will be charged with a felony worth up to 15 years in prison. And you know, because that's how Eric Garner was killed. The guy in New York that was selling loose cigarettes was put in his chokehold, and you know, he complained to the officer that he couldn't breathe, and later he died, you know, from that encounter. So the governor is taking steps. He also pushed for the Amy Cooper bill, which is a bill that was first introduced about 2 years ago, but is being streamlined more so this year because of what's going on. And basically it will punish those who call 911 and make false accusations towards people based on their religion, race, and gender. And it's being named after Amy Cooper, which is the woman I talked about on the last podcast, who called the police on the guy in Central Park because he complained to her about her not having a dog on the leash, which is a part of the rules of that park. And this bill basically will carry a 1 to 5 year sentence in prison, which A lot of good things have come out of these protests. So you see various different people taking steps to try to make amends or whatever. So there's that. And then I also talked about how several of the Adidas employees were going to stage a protest in regards to the treatment of people of color within the organization. And apparently it sparked some change within the organization, and Adidas has responded. They reportedly, there was a meeting between Adidas and pretty much everybody who wished to voice their concerns, and there was a coalition formed of 13 people, which represents over 200 employees, and they laid down I think it was like a 20 plus page booklet of all their concerns and things that they wanted to change within the company. And Adidas responded by saying that they're gonna put 120 million over 4 years into programs that help black communities. They also said that 30% of all open internal and external positions will be filled with black and Latino people. And the stipulation behind that is that the coalition has put a deadline for December 31st of 2021 for them to get this done. So it's cool that they're putting pressure on them. And it also says 50% of all positions will be diversified, and they will finance 50 scholarships each year for black students at partner schools. And they also are making Juneteenth a paid holiday. So, and Adidas, they put out a statement saying that if it wasn't for black athletes, artists, etc., they wouldn't exist, which is true. If you took away the black dollar from pretty much all of these corporations, they would go bankrupt. So it's good that companies are taking steps to try to make change, but you also have companies that's just doing this to look out for their bottom line. And some of these companies, I don't think are doing it because they care. I think they're doing it because they're being threatened with boycotts, and the only thing they really care about is that bottom line. But I'm gonna get more into that later. So speaking of Juneteenth, the president thought it would be a good idea to hold a rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma, of all places, on Juneteenth. And this is nothing more than a race bait and troll tactic. If you guys don't know, Tulsa, Oklahoma was what was known as the Black Wall Street. It was a very well financed black community. Basically, we had our own banks, businesses, etc. People, some racist people were mad at that, and they basically went on a murder spree and burned the whole city down. And then for you to have a rally there on the day of the official freedom of black people, because of course you did have the Emancipation Proclamation, but that wasn't really enforced within Texas and all places like that because of there not being enough manpower to enforce that law. But on June 19th in the year of 1865, the general of the Union, along with his counterparts, marched in and basically enforced this. So June 19th is basically the official day of our freedom from slavery, and it's a very significant holiday for my people. So he's doing this to basically try to race bait. That's exactly what this was. And then people was asking him about why he did that. Was it intentional? He says no, that Republicans love black people, blah blah blah. But it was intentional. It seems as though he's doing a bunch of different things because he's on his way out of the White House. Like, you had the 70-something-year-old guy that was pushed down by police, and he said that the guy was a member of Antifa. Like, that wasn't true, and that was false. And that guy now has to have surgery and physical therapy because he has a brain injury, because the police think that it's a joke to attack people for no reason other than they hide behind a badge, which gives them protection. But a lot of things is coming into place. A lot of people are making changes. Some people don't like the changes, but the changes need to happen in order for us to move forward as a people. And I'm talking about everyone. In order for things to get better, changes have to be made. And NASCAR has taken steps to help initiate that change as well, with banning the Confederate flag. One of the only, well, should I say, the only black driver, Bubba Wallace, was heavily behind this, and he feels as though it's like a sense of relief because some of the things that get brought up to him by people that attend these events is the flag being flown, and that flag is associated with a bunch of racist connotations. So it's a good thing that is being banned. And one of the fallouts from that, of course, you have someone get mad that that it was banned, and one of the drivers from the event, named Ray Cicerelli, basically quit in response to it, and he pretty much got lambasted by everybody on the internet, and he even threatened to sell his race company or whatever too, which is crazy. And the irony is he's never won a race too, and that was a joke made that how the Confederates lost, he's never won too, so he's keeping with the theme of the Confederates. So but it's a good thing that people are taking a stand. I also saw that Dale Earnhardt, as well as a couple of other drivers, are standing in support of this, so that's cool as well. And then we get Starbucks. Starbucks is another one of those companies that I was talking about that are just joining along because of their bottom line. So earlier in the week, they pretty much banned people from wearing Black Lives Matter t-shirts and apparel and pins, and then once the pressure was applied to them, they pretty much changed course, and of course said that they're going to be creating merchandise, which means that they're trying to profit off of the situation. They don't really care about the movement, they care about their bottom line, because people threaten to boycott their business, and they already are in a hole. From what I read, they've lost about $3 billion this quarter, and they're going to be closing a bunch of different stores, and that their stores are going to be restricted to just drive-through or pickup because of what's going on. So they basically just trying to save money with that. But yeah, right here, Starbucks announced on Friday it will allow employees to wear apparel, bowing to an intense social media campaign, even as the company moves to crank out over 250,000 specialty shirts of its own. Yeah, they cranking it out because they're trying to profit off of the situation. They don't care. And Starbucks has been in the media a bunch in regards to how they treat, their black consumers. You had the two dudes arrested for having a business meeting at Starbucks, and then you have this, and then I've had my own situation with them as well. So, this is one of the things that I was talking about. The company's ban on personal apparel wasn't specifically crafted for BLM, nor did it recently take effect. Instead, a long-standing dress code among Starbucks employees, known internally as partners, states that clothing and accessories need to be company issue and can't advocate a political, religious, or personal issue. It's neither of those. This is a social issue. According to a weekly update sent to baristas, store managers requested to wear pins or memo point to Starbucks dress code. Yeah. It's about a dress code, and now y'all about to sell 250,000 t-shirts. Exactly. They issue buttons for LGBTQ rights, which were issued by Starbucks. So yeah, basically, if they can't profit off of it, they don't want they don't want those that work for them to be involved in it. So that's just another case of people trying to get in on what's going on. I don't have too much more to say about them, But another interesting thing, the group Lady Antebellum have decided to change their name because they've, I guess they come to know the true meaning of the word antebellum, which is interesting because it's like, how do you come up with a name and you don't know its initial meaning? But this is pretty much an article about it. Basically, they said that their name came from architecture. Basically, they were at some antebellum style house and they were thinking of a name for their group. And so let's see where it says. Yeah, musicians Charles Kelly, Hillary Scott, and Dave Haywood got the inspiration from the antebellum style home where they took their first photos when they formed in 2006. We were taking pictures outside an antebellum home in Nashville. We were searching for a name. We were going to call ourselves something like Springdale or something. But names are so hard to come up with. I was like, man, that's a beautiful antebellum house, and that's cool. Maybe there's a haunted ghost or something in there like Lady Antebellum. We all thought it sounded cool, like Southern rock. What it actually means, antebellum literally means before the war, coming from the Latin phrase antebellum. It became widely associated with the U.S. Civil War after it was over, and now calls to mind grand plantation-style architecture with stately columns. Okay. Sprawling grounds, trees draped in. Yeah, so basically the plantation homes, I guess, is what antebellum style houses are. Lady Antebellum just dropped antebellum from their name. No one wants to be associated with racism anymore, not even country musicians, which is really something. It is something because the country gatekeepers, you know, had an issue with Lil Nas X because of his song, and they pretty much took his song off the charts. And it didn't get put back onto the charts until Billy Ray Cyrus decided to jump on a remix. So, another situation again. It says, that's the major problem with the antebellum aesthetic. It was built on the backs of slave labor. While the original term wasn't offensive, antebellum, as we use it today, glorifies a painful period in history when black people were enslaved by white people. It's important to remember that architecture, fashion, and even language don't live in a vacuum. They're contextual and evolve along with our society. And they say, we are regretful and embarrassed to say that we did not take into account the associations that weighed down this word, referring to period of history before the Civil War, which includes slavery. So yeah, they changed their name to Lady A instead of, you know, Lady Antebellum, which at least it was an easy fix, because if it was like some other term that pretty much locked them in, they would have had to come up with a complete name change. But it's cool that they took the steps to do that, you know, so hats out to them. Also in the news, apparently Walmart, CVS, and Walgreens have taken steps to remove, you know, black beauty products from being locked up, which is a common thing that you see, especially within the inner cities, where they lock up these products, which is, you know, a form of discrimination. You lock up the black beauty products, but, you know, the products catered to other races are free for people to grab without them being behind a glass barrier or whatever. So there's always that. Alright, so here's the thing right here. So basically a woman is basically posting what you would typically see, and it does depend on the neighborhoods too. It says, this Walmart is in the heart of Montebello. There are black and brown people all over the place. The message is clear. We don't trust you. A customer says the retailer is discriminating against people of color, locking only multicultural products behind glass. It is a form of discrimination. You know, this is one of the things that we constantly have to deal with.
White privilege also extends to hair care products, apparently, in Walmart. Over here, if I want Suave or Tresemme or Pantene, it's out. Apparently, the multicultural hair care is all locked behind the glass, because I'm all I don't know what happened
to the video, but the video kind of like pretty much distorted our effort, but that is true. And then you see you got the buzz for help, but you know, that's just typical of the monotony of things that we have to deal with on a daily basis. So there's that. In regards to Breonna Taylor, a law was passed in Kentucky called the Breonna's Law, which basically effectively ends the no-knock warrants, which pretty much led to her death. So if you guys aren't familiar with her story, the officers in Kentucky did a no-knock warrant, and pretty much fired over 20 shots into the apartment, which killed the woman while she was asleep. Which, that in itself is pretty dumb, and it's like, why would you shoot without regard into an apartment? Like, what if a child was walking past and y'all just shooting blindly into an apartment? And then what ended up happening is the person that they was looking for wasn't even there. The only reason the reason they said they went to the apartment is because the guy that they was looking for listed that place as an address or whatever. It's good that that law is passed, but the people that are responsible for her death need to be charged and put in prison as well. All these different deaths, unnecessary deaths, whether it's against black people or whoever else, justice needs to be served. You know, the people that's doing these things need to be held accountable. So hopefully, you know, those officers are charged as well. And, you know, you have officers speaking out about what's going on. The media's painting us as animals, and now you see what we you know, go through. You know, people of color are painted as animals in the media all the time. And then it's not unwarranted that you guys are being painted like that. Like, look at what you guys are doing. There's been video of New York officers running people over with their cars. There's a video of the police trapping people on the bridge and gassing them. And you want to be treated fairly? You got to change your actions if you want to be treated fairly. So you can't cry about that when you guys are out contributing to the nonsense, you know. So there's that as well. And 6ix9ine decides to return to Instagram Live just before the release of his new single trollz with Nicki Minaj, and he pretty much airs out everybody that's been coming at him, which I thought was pretty funny. This fool had a whole list of people on there. He had Meek Mill, Snoop, Gunna, Young Thug, NLE Chopper, QC, Coach P, Gucci Mane, Rich the Kid, Lil TJ. Pretty much everybody that came at him, he had a list. And in the video, the two people that he gets at is Meek and Snoop. He doesn't really go too much into the other guys, but I think is interesting what he's doing. And, you know, people might be mad at him or don't like him, but it's like this. Y'all went at the dude first. He didn't say anything to y'all or about y'all. The only thing he's doing is pretty much defending himself. And you got people mad at that. If you didn't want this to happen, you should have kept your mouth closed. So he pretty much aired out Meek Mill first. So we about to get into that.
I'm gonna start off with Meek Mill, right? So people pick and choose who's this? This is Desiree Perez.
Who was an informant who brought down the cartel.
This is Meek Mill. The story that spooked Dash revealed how Perez, the wife of longtime Jay-Z wingman Juan Perez, became a cooperating witness for the DEA in the 1990s. Again,
But you don't condone ratting, but you're signed to a rat.
This is public information.
And that's the thing,
You
they
see
pick and
Meek Mill
choose.
right here with Desiree Perez, right? She's part of his bail with Jay-Z. This part of Rock Nation, right?
Yeah, part of his bail reform team.
She's a executive at Rock Nation. But then you go saying, yo, listen, we don't fuck with rats. Your executive is a rat. Sir, you know, you just can't chart. Ever since Nicki left you, you are a...
So there's more to it right here.
Listen, Nicki took you on tour. You were her opener. Nicki made you, nigga. No bitch wanted to fuck you, nigga. Did you forget who you was? Listen, I forgot what Drake said. What did Drake say? He said, is that
a world tour or your girls
some
tour?
Shit like, is that your tour or your girls tour? That was never your tour, homie. Listen, you was put on by Nicki Minaj. And you rolling with rats now. But you know what? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody is gonna be like, yo, nobody's gonna expose this. You're with a rat every day. You're with a rat every day. You're with a rat. Your prison reform, your bail reform is with a rat. Oh no, she wasn't street. She was selling kilos of
That
cocaine.
is street. She worked for the cartel, and she got
You don't want
jammed
nobody
up
to know?
and flipped on him. So she was street. He also went at Future as well, who basically said that anybody that associates himself with a rat is a rat. And basically 6ix9ine said that, well, you associate yourself with Meek Mill, who associate himself, with a informant. So, this is going to continue. The more people that come at him, the more he's going to, defend himself. So if y'all don't want him to continue to do this, then stop calling him out. Stop using him to clout chase, because that's what a lot of people have been doing. When he went in, people was clout chasing like a mother, like making music videos with him getting bent over in prison, and him with a rat head on him and all types of stuff. And now people is mad because he's firing back at those that was talking mess about him. So, and like he said, you can't pick and choose. It's either you don't associate yourself with what you said you don't like, or you don't. You can't have it both ways. You can't pick and choose, oh, I don't like this person because of what they did, but then you associate yourself with a person who did the exact same thing that you don't like about what he did. So, there's that. And then apparently people are mad at Ice Cube because he voiced his complaints about how he sees the world from his eyes. So he basically posted a bunch of images in reference to who controls the world and everything. And of course, the Jews do that. The Jews are the bankers, which controls the money, which controls the world. So there's that. So he posted a picture of the black cube of Saturn. Saturn is related to the devil, Satan. And then he also showed that this cube that's pretty much replicated all throughout the world is also fits perfectly within the center of the Jewish Star of David. So people was mad at that, calling it anti-Semitic. You can call it that, but the truth is the truth. You can't be hide behind words and stuff because you don't like what the truth is. If you don't like what the truth is, then you have to change it. And this isn't out of the realm of his character. He's always spoken out against the system and how it's treated, other people. You had somebody say, "Oh, don't leave us out, ICE," and she basically posted the cube of Mecca. So yeah, you have a lot of different things in correlation to that. So these is all the images that he posted. So we gonna go down and break this shit down. So I actually did went down the rabbit hole, and it's so deep. If you guys want to know more about it, if you look it up, you're gonna see a dude who basically breaks down what that cube means and its correlation to a whole bunch of stuff, and how the cube is a representation of a device into another dimension and all types of stuff. So it's crazy. But he says, "What if I was just pro-black? This is the truth, brother. I didn't lie on anyone. I didn't say I was anti-anybody. Don't believe the hype. I've been telling the truth." Hebrew Israelite slaves in ancient Egypt. Yeah, these is, because the black people are the original Israelites and Jewish people that are spoke of in the Bible, not the Ashkenazi Jews that, associate themselves with being the Jews from the Bible, which isn't the case. Then he shows a photo of, the sphinxes before and after they were vandalized because of their association with black culture. A rare early photo of statues before Europeans shot the noses off. Yeah, they shot the noses off because they showcase the original appearance of the Egyptians, which was the black people. And over time, they pretty much whitewashed what Egyptians look like. And if you go to the original, inscriptions on the wall, they're dark colored people, not light-skinned people. And then you had that movie Gods of Egypt. You had a movie about the gods of Egypt with no one that was black. You had a bunch of white people basically saying that they were the Egyptians, which wasn't the case. Then he says, "You know who I am and what I stand for. I believe in actual facts and I stand on the truth alone. Lies get spit on." Don't believe the hype. The devil will come at me and you with this tactic. Dismiss us, accredit us, demonize us, destroy us. The formula they use against MLK and everybody else. Yeah, that's what they do. When people don't like their truths, they discredit you or they try to defund you or everything else. Speak a little truth and people lose their mind, straight out of Compton. And then it shows the all-seeing eye with people giving the middle finger. And of course, the banking and the money system is ran by the Jews. So it is what it is. So this is pretty much the image that people had an issue with. It basically shows a monopoly board. And beneath that board is, the black people. And basically, the people around the table are the Jewish bankers, and they've gotten rich off the backs of black people, which is true. This is facts. This is what's going on. So you can't get mad at that. It says all we have to do is stand up and their little game is over. If black people separated from the system and we had our own everything, it would collapse the world. Because I think we have the biggest spending power in the world. Our spending power is just over $1 trillion, and that's a lot. So you got people being mad. Hey, just the flag that the image of the mural you shared is quite anti-Semitic. I wrote about it here a couple years back. I expect you hadn't clocked the connotation, but hopefully this helped. You can call it anti-Jew, but it is what it is. Y'all control the money, y'all control the board, y'all control the media, y'all control everything. And the foundation of all this was built on the backs of the black people. So you can't get mad at somebody for speaking the truth. So it is what it is. He says media is complicit, #treason. Yeah, the media is complicit into the degradation and the demonization of people of color. It has always been that way. That's why when two people get arrested from the same type of crime, black and brown people get called thugs, while the white people get the excuse of, oh, he's mentally ill, or he was misunderstood, or this, that, and the third. So it is what it is. Don't expect Ice Cube to budge from his stance, because he's always been a person to speak the truth about what's been going on. So there's that. But moving on from that, we got some new music this week. So we got the release of 6ix9ine and Nicki Minaj's new single trollz. They released a video, and they take a couple of shots at people in here. So I wanted to break down some of these lyrics. So 6ix9ine, he says, yeah, she like how I throw them racks. Yeah, 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 yeah. And when I was listening to it, I was like, this verse sounds familiar. And he basically interpolates Future's Rack song with Young Chris, and it's interesting that he put that in there, because him and Future had have a little bit of tension as well, because Future said that those that associate themselves with rats are rats, and he spoke about that on his Instagram live video. So that was 6ix9ine, putting that in there to troll a little bit. Then we get I know you don't like me. You want to fight me. You don't want no problems at your party. Don't invite me. I don't worry about you niggas. Please stop talking about me. Always talking about me because you're looking for the cloudy. And this is basically directed at Meek Mill. Meek Mill was one of the most vocal people about 6ix9ine. And since then, 6ix9ine hasn't let up on defending himself. So, he's going to continue to go at Meek Mill, because Meek should have never said anything, because you are associating yourself with a rat. And that rat is, part of your reform board. So there's that. And then from Nicki, we get her responding to some haters as well. She says, dollar bill, come get her. Even your man know Nicki's do it better. And this is basically a shot at Lisa Ray. If you're not familiar, Lisa Ray was on the movie The Players Club. So Dollar Bill was the name of the person that owned the club. Even your man know Nicki's do it better. Lisa Ray's husband cheated on her with Nicole Murphy. So Nicki is short for Nicole. So that was a shot at her. And it's also in response to Lisa Ray on Claudia Jordan's podcast, Out Loud, where she said, we can all stand together, queens, and we can all say that all of us are acknowledging the fact that Kim came before Nicki Minaj. So Nicki, just take a seat. You don't have to sit down for long, but just take a bow. Just like Beyonce said, bow down. So you didn't have to say all that. Yeah, Nicki's appearance was influenced by Little Kim, which she said that in the past, but telling someone to bow down, you don't do that. So of course, Nicki responded with some bars, and they got what they got, so you can't be mad at that. And then she also addresses Usher as well. She says, somebody ushered this nigga into a clinic. My flow's still sick. I ain't talking a pandemic. This was a shot at Usher, who was in the media a while back for apparently having herpes or whatever. So there was that, and Usher was a part of that discussion as well about Nicki coming from Lil Kim or whatever. And when he was on Instagram Live with Swiss Beats, he said Nicki is a product of Lil Kim. The only thing that they share is their over-sexualization of themselves. If we talking about careers, Nicki has long since surpassed Lil Kim, and Nicki has established herself as one of the best female MCs to ever do it. So as far as the Lil Kim and Nicki thing, it stops at the way that they present themselves in music, pretty much. And Nicki Minaj writes her own stuff. Lil Kim has had ghostwriters in the past, so there's that, which she talks about that in the song as well. She said, I write my own lyrics. A lot of these bitches gimmicks. They study Nicki's style. Now all of them want to mimic. Talking about snitches, when it's snitches in your camp, never stand alone. You always itching for a stamp. So the write my own lyrics line is at Cardi B, as well as the other females that don't write their lyrics. People jacking Nicki Minaj's way of presenting herself. You have people like Meg Thee Stallion. She's hopped on that wave, of course. All these other different female artists that are coming up over sexualizing themselves. You have that as well. So she's getting at everybody that's basically been slighting her. And then the line about snitches in your camp is about Meek Mill. The snitch in his camp is the president of Rock Nation. Never stand alone. This is in reference to Meek Mill always positioning himself next to people with some type of influence within the culture, whether it's Jay-Z, Rick Ross, etc., etc. Drake. He never stands alone on his own. You always itching for a stamp. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I did a reaction to the music video. You guys can check that out on my channel. I also reacted to them being on Instagram Live as well. But that's that. And then we get an update for Pop Smoke's album, which has been pushed back due to what's going on. So the new release date is July 3rd, and the first single is called Make It Rain, and it will be released on the 12th. So that's that, and that's pretty much going to do it for this week's podcast. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you want to see the video format, all you guys have to do is head to my YouTube platform. So make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, share this, and until the next one, peace.
CaliKidOfficial.